All right, people. Take another sip of my coffee to get through this day. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this very, very early morning segment of For the People podcast. I am, of course, your humble host, Niko House. We have a great show for you today. I know it's kind of early, but in my defense, I work better in the mornings, to be honest with you. But also, I didn't get to do my late night show yesterday, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it today. And if I do, it will be on a separate set of topics. But last night, I got the pleasure of going on my good friend George Galloway's Mother of All Talk shows, where we discussed the results of the Iowa caucus, amongst some other things, including Nikki Haley and that joke of a candidate she is. Um, and that will be uploaded, by the way, on Moats today, very shortly. But also, I'll be putting it on my page too, so go check it out. Great interview, enjoy myself as usual. Um, we will be talking today about Bernie Sanders gaslighting the hell out of us again. We will be talking about Joy Behar gaslighting the hell out of us again. Again, yeah, I know. We'll be talking about Sam Cedar and his weird beef with the Grayzone. When y'all gonna understand when y'all watch the video why I say it's weird. But basically, there's no reason for it. Is the moral of the story. We're also going to be talking about Bosam Yousef's takedown of another Zionist shill, exposing the hell out of this dude on Patrick Bet David's podcast. And we're also going to be talking about what else we got? What else we got in the tank? If we have some time, we're going to be talking about oh man, Nikki Haley. That one's going to be the one I need because, like I said, if y'all weren't here for the early part of the stream, y'all, it's been a morning. It has been a morning. The neighbor, like I live in a house, but like it's kind of a townhome. It's not connected, but it's connected enough that I can hear everything that's going on over there whenever they're doing something crazy. And they decided they wanted to start construction, and I can hear everything. As soon as I'm like sitting down, getting ready to do this, press go live, they want to start. So hopefully I can't hear too much of that. And then I'm adjusting my mic and my fucking screen fell. So I'm out here looking at one eighth of not 1/8. I'm like looking at 5/8 of a screen, kind of. Sometimes it pops back in, so I can get about 5.5/8 of a screen. It's just been one of the mornings, y'all. I got black coffee today. I ain't even put no almond milk in it, but we gonna survive. We gonna survive, y'all. Once again, don't forget to like this. Don't forget to share this. You can support the show by clicking on the links in the description. You can donate to Super Chat, obviously. You can become a premium subscriber on Rockfin. You can become a subscriber on Patreon. You can donate via Bitcoin or Ethereum. I have both of my addresses there. And of course, as always, make sure that you join the Telegram channel so you can get all the news and content updates. And I am messing up because I haven't even shared it in my Telegram channel yet. Oops. My bad. Y'all be easy on me this morning. I'm about to go post there right now. Let everybody know we here. All right. So for our first segment, man, let's go ahead and get into this ridiculous nonsense. That boy goofy as hell. He's so goofy. All right, man. So one of Sam Cedar's fans just asked briefly, like, yo, man, like, I appreciate what they said. They appreciate his coverage on Israel Palestine. I am actually genuinely surprised that Sam Cedar actually managed to get Israel Palestine right, because y'all know it's a Sam Cedar. Even when it should be easy for him to understand, and it should be a knockout home run from a soft, underhanded throw, Sam Cedar has a tendency to still fuck it up. He does. It's just his nature, man. And you know, Emma, excuse me, I forgot her name. Like Cat Williams said during Shannon Sharp's interview, you have an unnatural allegiance to losers. She went right from TYT to TYT Light. So, as you all know, Grayzone has been doing fantastic reporting on the Israel-Palestine conflict. I think that Aaron's experience, or at least his father's experience, as a Auschwitz survivor, or having family members that directly survived Auschwitz, and being able to draw those comparisons between what they saw, what they experienced, and what's happening right now in Gaza. And then, of course, Max's on the ground experience, like literally was in Gaza, has been to the West Bank, has contacts in the region. They have friends who died in this conflict. I think that's what has made them far and away much better, and has given us some unique insight into the situation in Gaza. And their investigative reporting has probably been, outside of those who are directly reporting from Gaza, which obviously Israel is killing a lot of them. So, you know, that's becoming, the reports coming from Gaza are becoming significantly reduced. But outside of those reports, I would say probably the Grayzone has had the best coverage of Gaza and the most they've been exposing the Israeli government. They've been exposing the hell out of them. So one of Sam Cedar's people decided to call and just say, hey, man, what's going on? I thought you heard you had some problems. And of course, Sam Cedar does have a problem with the Grayzone. Problem is, he don't really know what the problem is. Go ahead and get into it.
Hi, Sam and Emma, the Buzzsaw. Just wanted to let you know you're doing a great job covering the crisis in Gaza, but I recently heard from some of my leftist comrades that you have a beef with Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate. Is that true? I think they have been doing fantastic work at the Grayzone, debunking all lies and misinformation from the Israeli government. Do you disagree? What's the beef?
I don't know about their work on Israel, but I think the problem is work besides that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're fine when like they can report on. I mean, I don't know if they're fine. I can't speak to their reporting, but like they're reporting on on the war in Ukraine, and Russia's crimes there has been atrocious.
And COVID is an absolute joke. The way Max Blumenthal chased down Ben Norton.
So
it's a.
So, what?
I don't know about their work on Israel, but I think the problem is work besides that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're fine.
So you don't know about the work. You don't know about the work on Israel. Okay. Probably because you didn't read anything, right? Okay. It would make sense because you don't read the Grayzone at least once. Whenever a major international issue comes up, you're probably behind. They don't like the Grayzone, so of course, the natural conclusion would be what Emma's about to say, which is,
and like they can report on. I mean, I don't know if they're fine. I can't speak to their reporting, but like they're reporting on on the war in Ukraine, and Russia's crimes there has been atrocious.
And COVID.
Did y'all hear that? I can't speak to their reporting, but I do know that their reporting on Russia and Ukraine has been atrocious. Well, how the fuck do you know, Emma? You just said you can't speak to their reporting. Probably because you don't read their reporting, probably because you have a personal problem with the fact that they're, pretty openly anti-neoliberal, anti-Biden, they were anti-Hillary, obviously. They have spent an inordinate amount of time exposing both of those people, the Democratic Party, neoliberals in general, their agendas both domestically and abroad. So, yeah, I know you don't like those type of people, so you probably haven't read shit, right? Okay. But then you turn around and say, even though you haven't actually read their reporting, because you just said, I can't speak to their reporting, you then go ahead and move on to criticize the reporting that you didn't read. And then you mentioned the crimes that Russia has committed in Ukraine. That, by the way, no one except for the EU, well, not even all the EU, some of the EU, but the NATO powers, okay, and the US have actually accused Russia of committing any crimes in Ukraine. A lot of people accuse Zelensky of committing crimes in his own country. And also the neo-Nazis that Zelensky has been funding and the US has been funding, they've committed a lot of crimes. But you know what? You know how I know that that's the case? I've read reporting done by outlets like the Grayzone and also primary sources that are there. But let's just, for the sake of this conversation, if you've read anything about the Ukraine and Russia war from the Grayzone, you would know that they use a lot of primary sources. It's not like they're making shit up. They will literally have a quote or a video directly from a Ukrainian source or a Russian source or a Ukrainian, or they post primary source documents in websites. It's not like they just make shit up off the top of their head. But of course, Emma wouldn't know that. She just said it. Why? Because she can't speak to their reporting, but she's going to speak about their reporting because that's what they do over at the Majority of Bad Takes report.
COVID is an absolute joke.
Yeah.
The way Max Blumenthal chased down Ben Norton.
So
it's a mess. I think those guys are incredible in my opinion.
I haven't.
It's a mess. What's a mess? Bro, how do you just say, hey man, I don't know enough about them. Not my cup of tea. Move on. Yeah, but you literally admit you don't read shit from them. But it's a mess. Just people.
Been followed any of their stuff since both the COVID stuff, the
COVID stuff.
What was it? The white helmets were crisis actors. Is that what they were saying? Yeah. I don't know. I can't.
The white helmets. I mean, they are. I mean, that was already exposed. I don't even think that was exposed by the Grayzone. I think it was corroborated. Like they have done stories about that, but like that's already been exposed. Why you think you haven't seen them since? But like the COVID stuff. What COVID stuff? I don't know if he knows this, but of course he doesn't, because why would he know anything about something that he's talking about? When has Sam Seder ever actually known about the fact of the subject that he's talking about? Sam, let me just give you some inside info. Everybody who's paying attention is aware. Max was on one side of that conversation. Aaron was on another side. And then when Ben was still part of the Grayzone, he had his own takes on the conversation. There wasn't even uniform agreement. Like, separate from the articles that were being put out, there wasn't even uniform agreement within the Grayzone about the conversation of COVID. That is like a pretty well-known, well-established fact at this point. And you're like, they, I don't like they, them, they. Okay, what didn't you like about I don't even remember that much reporting. Eventually, they reported on Fauci because there were new facts that became available. Because that's what they do at the Grayzone. So basically, you don't like them because you don't like them. Not because you don't like their reporting, which you can't speak to because you haven't read it, because you already admitted it. But you won't even give the...
To be honest with you, I can't remember. I do remember some of the COVID stuff. But I
do remember some of the COVID stuff. Okay, what do
beef with them? No, I just don't
find them credible.
Yeah.
It's not a source that I look to.
What? Yeah. Do people still watch Sam Seder? I was out of the YouTube world for a while on purpose. Do people still watch Sam Seder? Is that a thing still? I can't believe that shit. That was just... Look, bro, at the end of the day, you can just admit you don't know. Just say, I don't have a beef. Because if he would have started the way he ended it, it probably wouldn't even got to the point where Emma was forced to embarrass herself again. But, Emma just be jumping at the opportunity to fucking embarrass herself. But if he would just said, I don't have a beef with them, I just don't know them, and it's not a source that I use, that would have been perfectly fine, bro. But, they always got to take it a step further because they know who pays them and who, therefore, their enemies are. And Grayzone would probably fall into that category. But I tell you who was not a fucking source. or anything. The majority report. I mean, sometimes I watch them for laughs, not because Sam Cedar is allegedly or was allegedly in some lifetime a comedian, because I still feel like that's cap. I know that that's on his bio. He's been like in seventh heaven or something like that. And supposedly he's a comedian, but like, I can say I dance like yeah, I'm a Michael Jackson impersonator. Okay, you gonna do some impersonations? Nah, not right now. Can't do it. That's basically what Sam Cedar is. Allegedly, he's a comedian who has never made anybody laugh. So, I want to move on to this Bernie Sanders bullshit. So, for those of you who do not know, Bernie Sanders actually, finally, did something, kind of. Kind of. I want to emphasize kind of. So Bernie Sanders actually introduced a resolution in the Senate after. Now, don't get excited, y'all. Don't get excited. Okay. He ain't called for a ceasefire. Okay. Just want to make sure y'all don't get your hopes up. He didn't say we have to condemn or punish Israel for its obvious war crimes. He just introduced a little resolution that said, hey, State Department, can you provide a report that just gives us some reassurance that Israel isn't using our weapons to, commit human rights atrocities? That was it. That's a little, the bare minimum. He just finally did the bare minimum because I guess he took to Twitter and realized, oh shit, like, they're getting on my ass about this Israel-Palestine shit. I thought that I was good, but no. Right, y'all know Bernie he likes to go where the wind blows, but he don't ever blow too hard. Like, the wind got to be going like 150 miles per hour for him to be like, He ain't never going to fully commit. I didn't forget everything that Bernie has said regarding this conflict. Like, every time we say, yo, call for a fucking ceasefire, you were saying one thing on the news. What about Hamas? Never acknowledging what Israel did, even though we had plenty of evidence to show what Israel done, what they are doing, what they have done in the past. And then you'll get on Twitter or have your staff members go on Twitter and pretend as if you were pro ceasefire, but then like would refuse to call for one whenever you enter. Like, bro, I remember. Like, so be clear. Because South Africa is, in the process of exposing the hell out of Israel, now you want to jump on the train. But hey, at least he's finally doing the bare minimum. He introduced a resolution. This is from antiwar.com. Senate votes down Bernie Sanders' resolution to probe Israel's Gaza slaughter. The Senate... The Senate on Tuesday night voted down a resolution introduced by Senator Bernie Sanders that would have frozen U.S. military aid to Israel if the State Department failed to produce a report on whether Israel was committing human rights violations in Gaza. Under the resolution, which invokes the 1961 Foreign Assistance Act, aid would have also been frozen if human rights violations were found. The legislation failed in a vote of 72 to 11. I think everybody's not surprised by that. With one Republican Senator, Rand Paul, and 9 Democrats, and Sanders supporting the oversight of Israel's mass killing of Palestinians with U.S. weapons. It should not be controversial to ask how U.S. weapons are used, Sanders wrote on Twitter, allegedly. We know he don't run that damn account. But he says it should not be controversial to ask how U.S. weapons are being used. We should all want this information. If you believe the war has been indiscriminate, as I do, oh, now you do, then we must ask this question. If you believe Israel has done nothing wrong, then this information should support that belief. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. We all agree with that. I think that all of us think that that's like the bare minimum. Once again, bare minimum. Especially considering John Kirby and others have said that the case in the ICJ that South Africa has brought against Israel is without merit, right? Those their words. We believe those calls. Those accusations of genocide, whatever that is. Those accusations don't have any merit. Well, if they don't have any merit, let's hear what Kirby had to say about this. The White House came out against the resolution ahead of the vote as it supports unconditional aid to Israel despite the massive civilian death toll in Gaza. We do not believe that this resolution is the right vehicle to address these issues, said National Security Council spokesman John Kirby, who has repeatedly shrugged off Israel's killing of civilians. John, I got a question for you, John. Just out of curiosity. What the fuck is the best way to address these issues? Because the ICJ, in your opinion, brought charges without merit. So court isn't the best place to discuss those issues. A report, a basic report. Hey, man, are our weapons being used to commit human rights atrocities? Because if that's found to be true and we're not doing anything about it, that could be a problem, right? Like just a basic report. That's not the best way to address these issues. Okay. Talking about it basically at all in the mind of this administration, outside of only pointing the finger at Hamas, talking about it isn't the best way to address these issues. So what exactly is the best way, John, Mr. Kirby? Because to be honest with you, Mr. Kirby has a lot in common with the video game character. That boy full of hot air, and he gonna put on whatever hat he needs to get the job done. There's no such thing as accountability with these fucking people, bro. With this administration. The audacity for Biden's administration to come out ahead of a resolution. A resolution, by the way. Not even a law, just a resolution. Because they would end up having to pass another law or actively prevent military. Yeah, actually, no, because I think they already approved the bills. So they would have to pass another law to prevent whatever military aid has already been approved. Then they would have to, anything that came forward would have to be obviously struck down. Because like the resolution, unfortunately, isn't binding. It's just a fucking resolution. And y'all couldn't do the bare minimum? Let's make sure our weapons aren't being used to kill anybody. You know why? I feel like I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know why? Do you know why they said we can't vote this? We can't vote for this. We can't have a report come from the State Department. Because then the report would show what? That there are human rights atrocities being committed there. That John Kirby is a liar. And in South Africa's charges of genocide against Gaza and Palestine in general are absolutely with merit. Like of course, it would show that the U.S. has either been one of two things: negligent when it comes to monitoring the way that their weapons have been used, or complicit. And I'm not exactly sure negligence is a violation of international law. However, in that particular case, here's a problem when it comes to the election coming up in about a year. It is a problem when it comes to the media writing about it and you being forced to address it in every press conference. It is a problem when it comes to this administration and how they are trying to, on one hand, differentiate themselves from the Trump administration that could be in power soon, right? Because this issue is the one that's killing Biden. I mean, a lot of issues are killing Biden, but this is the one that has lost him entire swaths of demographics that he once considered to be a guaranteed vote. So yeah, will the law be violated? Maybe not if the report comes back and shows that the U.S. has been complicit in the way the weapons have been used to commit genocide. However, politically speaking, yeah, no, it's a problem. That's a nuke, basically. That is a nuclear bomb politically. Because you not only have to address, like, bro, you've been giving these people weapons. So that genocide that everybody's now aware of has been being committed because of the weapons that the U.S. has given them. Not sold them, given them. And y'all, so that makes y'all complicit. And so what are y'all gonna do about it? What y'all gonna do about it? Y'all gonna do something about it? You're gonna hold them accountable? You're gonna take the weapons away? You're gonna take the aid away? What you gonna do? And of course, they're not gonna have any answers. And once again, politically, that's a problem. That's why they don't want the report to come out. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Bernie knew that. He knew that when he introduced the resolution. He should have introduced it as a bill. I'll be honest with you. He should have, because at least it would have had some teeth. You can rewrite that as a bill. Mandate that there's a report before any going forward for however long, right? You can go for it for 2-3 years. It should be in perpetuity, but 2 or 3 years. You can mandate a report showing what they're using the weapons on. If there are human rights violations being made. And then that will determine whether or not we give you aid. You could have did it as a bill, but it didn't have teeth to begin with. He knew it was going to fail. And that's the only time Bernie ever does anything right, unfortunately, is when he knows it's going to fail. So given that Congress, specifically the Senate, didn't want to do the bare minimum, given that the administration came out ahead of a resolution, by the way, unnecessarily so, because we already know how Congress and the Senate is full of Zionists. We knew it was going to fail. When does any resolution that is against Israel not fail? We knew that. And yet, Joe Biden's administration came out anyway. So, of course, Bernie Sanders is absolutely going to make sure that he encourages people to hold Joe Biden accountable, right? Because that's the only thing that would make sense. Yeah, no, let's go ahead and I'm gonna kill that dream for you. That's not what happened. That's absolutely not what happened.
The Dubai tech scene is quite unique. There's a strong focus on entrepreneurship and startups over here. There are a lot of startup hubs and incubators, accelerator programs, sandboxes that are going to help you out. Then really it's up to you and your amazing team to take this rocket ship to the moon.
President Biden has caught a lot of criticism from the left on his support for Israel amid this war. You're a leader on the progressive left, the movement that you helped create in your presidential campaigns. Do you think that young progressives in the United States will ultimately rally behind Joe Biden in November, or has he seriously damaged his standing?
Look, I think we will see what happens in November because the choice is pretty clear. Running against Donald Trump, who I suspect will be the Republican candidate, is one of the most dangerous political figures in modern American history. So I think people will end up rallying around Biden. But there is no question, it is very hard for young people, I think for most Americans, to be excited about what is going on right now. President has got to change course. He has been very clear. He has expressed his concern about, quote unquote, indiscriminate bombing. He has asked Netanyahu over and over again to change course. Netanyahu just yesterday said, no, we're going to continue doing.
First of all, no, Biden ain't been, but that's a lie, Bernie. Let's be honest. Biden has never been clear about shit at all and ever. Even when he is trying to be clear, he can't be clear. That is just a function of his brain at this point. But beyond that, that's also bullshit. He hasn't been clear. He's expressed concerns. No, he might express concern in front of one crowd and one camera, but he's also said the total opposite in front of other crowds and other cameras. So he hasn't been clear.
What we are doing, unacceptable. You cannot give.
And also, like I just said, how has he been clear? He had his administration come out in advance to shoot down that resolution that was already going to fail. Like, it's almost like he was like dog whistling, like, hey guys, hey Israel, I just want to let you know that we're against this. Like, we know it's going to fail, but we just want to know, we don't need any leaks from one Jeffrey Epstein hit the streets. Okay, we're all on the same team here, guys. Let's cool our brakes.
Of dollars to a country that ignores your wishes, violates international law. So I would hope that the president follows through on his concerns and says to Netanyahu, this is unacceptable. You're not getting a nickel more from the United States unless you radically change course. We're not going to see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children starve to death.
Yeah, what? Hold on.
Dubai is ushering in
Nah, we
a
ain't
new
gonna-
era of
but
digital
we not gonna let
growth
that
and
slide like
economic
that.
transformation.
Because how is Bernie? Oh, hold on, that is not the right one. Anyway, how is Bernie gonna sit there and tell us how's Bernie gonna sit there and tell us that Trump is the most dangerous president in modern history? See, I told y'all they're working. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but they're working next door. They just decided to start working because I'm streaming. But how's Bernie gonna sit there and tell us that Trump is the most dangerous president in history, and therefore, despite Joe Biden rallying or really rallying behind Israel, despite him constantly, let's just say he's gargling Netanyahu's nuts, effectively, is what's happening. Despite that and all the other shit happening, it's actually Trump, once again, who's more dangerous without debate. That's my problem. You want to make that argument, that's fine. You want to have a nuanced discussion about who's more, that's fine, whatever. I don't agree with it, but hey man, like it's a real discussion. No, he didn't even do that, yo. Oh, what's up, Fee? What's going on? I feel like you shouldn't. Oh no, it's afternoon over there, yo. But I don't be knowing what time Fiorella get up. Fiorella be up all night, y'all. I never know what time it is where I'm at because Fiorella's always up, and so I can't even juxtapose my waking, like when I'm awake versus when she's awake. Because hell no, I'm not a vampire like Fiorella is. Anyway, what's good, Fee? But this man literally looked at us in our faces like, hey man, like, I think that young people will still rally because Trump is one of the most dangerous presidents in American history. No. Hold up. Just out of curiosity, guys, what would make Trump definitively more dangerous than Joe Biden? Definitively. Right? What would make him uniquely more dangerous than Joe Biden? Because they like to throw out the authoritarian thing, right? The authoritarian thing. Yeah. Question really quick. What is more authoritarian than using your power as president and leader of the executive branch to basically coerce multiple justice systems around the world, or excuse me, around the country? Yeah, I'm guessing around the world, but definitely around the country, and the DOJ itself to punish your opponent for challenging you. You're punishing we know that Trump's going to be the nominee, and you're using the DOJ with your authority to punish him. And simultaneously, as this is happening, you're using the DOJ with executive authority to protect your son. Would y'all consider that to be a little bit dangerous? I think so. No, I'm not saying that Trump has not used his authority to protect his kids. I don't know of any instance where he has, not explicitly. I can't think of one. But I can't really think of one. No, not really. But if he did, of course, that would be a problem. But it's one thing to use it to protect your family, because I think that every president in history, damn near, unfortunately, has done something to that degree. But in Biden's particular case, he's using the authority that he has to go after the main candidate that could take him down, and simultaneously protect his son from prosecution on both domestic and international scale. So that would probably make him more dangerous in the authoritarian category. Okay, so Biden checks that box. Are we going to get some type of difference in policy over Israel and Gaza if Biden comes in? Or excuse me, if Trump comes in? No. I would say that's probably a push. The only thing I could probably say is that if Netanyahu decided to buck up to Trump, it could be a problem, because we all know when Trump's ego gets involved, we don't know how the hell he's going to respond. So like, if Trump's like, hey man, this ain't a good look, chill out, and Netanyahu's like, nah, or Netanyahu decides to do what he's done with the general of the UN, not answer the call. It's like, hey man, how some of y'all do when y'all see them 800 numbers, because y'all know them bills is due. Yeah, if he does that, then I could see Trump legitimately being like, oh, word? Oh, so you're not going to answer my phone calls. Bet that. And it could be a problem for Netanyahu, I think. So, but overall, I think that policy would be handled exactly the same, unfortunately. So that's a push. Okay. We have right now social media companies censoring people on behalf of the Democratic establishment. That's a fact. Then we've all accepted that. On TikTok, I was trying to post RFK's congressional speech. I was trying to post like when he spoke at the committee. I tried to cover Hunter Biden's situation. I tried to cover both of those, and the Ukraine situation in general. All those just congressional hearings. I tried to. TikTok actually did something weirder than deleted them. They didn't delete them. They just suspended them in animation. They were infinitely processing, and to this day, they're still processing. I'm dead ass serious. Because all of those stories specifically they effectively expose the Democratic establishment. I mean, you had Debbie Wasserman Schultz literally calling for the censorship of RK Jr. at that moment in the middle of a censorship committee. So I can't say personally that Trump has ever called for censorship. I can say some of the neoliberals have called for censorship. Or excuse me, neoconservatives have called for censorship, but I can't say Trump specifically has called for censorship. But Biden definitely has. So that's more dangerous. Yep. And we can just go to the most simplistic. Guys, what is more dangerous than a fucked up economy? People become very unpredictable in a fucked up economy. And right now we, like US citizens and really everybody around the world, because of actions taken by Joe Biden in Ukraine, and therefore the reaction to that by Russia and its allies, the economy around the world is fucked. Except for Russia, they good. Russia's fine. They're all right. China's good. They're all right too. But the US, its allies, those who are suffering under the crippling weight of the Fed and US currency, it ain't going too well. I just read an article the other day. It said 2023 had a 5.9% increase in cost for food, for grocery shopping. Y'all think that's going down? Nope, it's not. Don't spoil it for you. No, it's not. Now, they said this year the projection is 2%, which would be cool, I guess, if it went back down, but it didn't even go down. So it's like not even predicting that it's going to get better. And I can guarantee the 98% of the world did not get 8% raises. Most of y'all had your health insurance go up. I know damn near everybody had their car insurance go up. I'm pissed about that. I'm not even driving my car right now. I'm paying more than I've ever paid for my car insurance. I'm 35, allegedly. But I don't understand how my car insurance is going. I was told the lie when I was growing up that, man, 30s, your car insurance is going drop, man. 35. Car insurance went up by $75. Not even driving. Everything's expensive. Interest rates are high as fuck. No one can afford a house unless you're already retired and you have multiple forms of income. And you don't have to credit Trump for the economy being somewhat decent prior, or at least not being as bad, rather. You don't have to credit Trump with that, right? But we know for a fact that Biden and his involvement in Ukraine and him pushing Russia over the edge is directly affecting the economies of both Europe, the EU in general, the United States, and therefore everyone whose currency and economies fall under their umbrellas. It ain't nothing in the world more dangerous than a fucked up economy, bro. Because people will want to do anything to get out of that. So it's hard for me to take anything Bernie says about Biden seriously. It's hard for me to take any criticism that he says about Biden seriously. Because when you turn around and say, Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in U.S. history, while we got Biden in power right now, and like it's like he's living in a different world than us, y'all. He has to be, right? Because why? I mean, I don't think my mom would care, but why is my mom having to drive Instacart to get by when she's, for her company, one of the highest ranking members? Oh, because she just so happens to be 55 with diabetes or 54 with diabetes, and therefore her job takes the majority of her money. Not the majority of it, but her insurance is higher. Y'all know how much insulin is in the States. Her deductibles are higher. And because she gets a raise every year, they're taking more taxes. But that also doesn't really, they taking more taxes, but guess what? When they decide they're gonna increase your insurance because you're paying, because you make more, they're doing the math before the taxes come out. So her health insurance costs more. Her insulin costs more. They're taking more out. And so basically her getting a raise hurts her. I got family in the military, can't even budget. Because how you gonna budget when grocery prices are literally going up every single week? I have a rule, a theory, if you will, before I move on, that gangster rap, like hardcore gangster rap, becomes the most popular during times of economic crisis, which is why NWA ended up as popular as it did. But then there was this down period, I would say, during the tech boom, early 2000s, where it was more like pop rap, T-Pain, Snap Your Fingers, Do Your Step, Ludacris, all those guys. You know, they were successful in their own right. I like their music too. But it wasn't hardcore gangster rap. In fact, it was almost becoming accepted that you can't make that type of rap anymore at that weird 2000 to 2010 period and break through to the pop charts. And the tech boom was, in my opinion, was largely responsible for that, because that music became unrelatable for the majority of the country. Basically, is what happened. It wasn't relatable because everybody is in some way, form, or fashion benefiting from the tech boom. And then the market crashed, and then you started saying, okay, well, we're going to see what happens. And then after about 10 years after that, you start 2020, you got these guys, young NBA young boy, Meek Mill actually somehow is able to break through the mainstream. 21 Savage breaks through the mainstream. I mean, a lot of you got Nardo Wick. I'm sure y'all know that's a young guy, but Nardo Wick, a lot of these young rappers are breaking through into the mainstream as purely gangster rap, in a lot of cases, drill rappers, which is like the most violent form of rap you could possibly have. And it's because the reality is, unfortunately, it's becoming more and more relatable. And the fact that gangster rap is so incredibly popular right now, like hardcore gangster rap is incredibly popular right now, probably means that everybody can relate to it to some degree. So please, Bernie, just stop gaslighting us, bro. Like, we get it. You gonna cuck it up. You gonna do what you gotta do to preserve your power. And even if that means kissing Biden's ass, even though y'all damn near the same age, and somehow you can communicate a thought just fine, and that man is hiding out in the basement somewhere because the world, he's scared to talk to people for obvious reasons. So, that guy. Anyway, y'all familiar with Bosam Yousef? I'm sure. He kind of like grew into prosperity during this Gaza conflict because he just embarrassed Piers Morgan. Well, he's back on the rampage. Back on the rampage. And he embarrassed somebody else. I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with the Patrick Bet David podcast. I think most of y'all are familiar with it. By the way, I went to his house. His house is fucking huge. That's just crazy. Patrick's a good guy, a decent guy. I don't really agree with a lot of his takes, but this guy, he actually Patrick himself has had some decent takes on Gaza. But his co-host, bruh. Let's go ahead and check out some of these clips. And by the way, y'all let me know if y'all want me to cover this whole thing, this whole conversation. Because it's a long conversation, but if y'all actually want me to cover the whole thing later on, we can do that. But I just want to talk about these couple of clips.
What's going on in Gaza is the equivalent of BLM. Why the distinguishment? Why is this issue at the forefront of the news when hundreds of thousands, since 9/11,
This is what happens when you, before I even get, this is what happens when you go to Twitter to get your fucking info. I've experienced this. When motherfuckers want to debate me about some shit that they don't know about, but I'm like, would probably consider myself an expert on. Like, this is what happens when you go to Twitter to get your information. Just wait.
5 million plus people in the Middle East have died. 5 million. 5 million versus 30,000. Where are the marches? Where are the protests?
You haven't been around.
No.
You just haven't been around.
Yeah, they've been around, guys. They have been. Yeah, I know. There were a bunch of protests about Iraq. I'm 35, so like I wasn't even an adult whenever the Iraq war started, and I know there's been protests still. There were protests when I was in the military, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. There was a bunch of protests about Syria. There was a bunch of protests about Yemen and Trump's vote to veto Trump veto legislation to stop the bombing on Yemen. And there was protests for that. There was protests for Trump bombing Syria. Yep. Yeah. Like, bro, you just because your ass is sitting in the fucking podcast studio not living in the real world doesn't mean the real world doesn't exist. I don't know how many times we have to tell these people that shit, but
Their own.
No, but I also read the newspapers. I see what's going on. If you ask the average person, they couldn't tell you that there's a war in Yemen.
These men.
the average person couldn't tell that there's a war in Yemen. Do you want to tell him why there's a war in Yemen? Anybody? For 50 virtual dollars. I don't really got $50. But for $50, anybody want to tell him why is there a war in Yemen, everybody? Because the U.S. gave a bunch of money to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has been funding the war in Yemen. That's why there's a war in Yemen. Yeah. But hey, let them dig their own hole.
Mental gymnastics where you want to divert people to other conflicts. Actually, your tone of voice when you say, oh, there is like black and black, Arabs killing each other. This is different. America is not standing behind Saudi Arabia like Israel. You can talk about how Saudis are killing the Houthis or the Yemenis. You know how many vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
Tell me.
88. How many of those were they used in order to protect Israel from a veto?
Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face. Oh my God. He said, oh shit. A question about facts about the situation. Oh, I wasn't prepared for this.
6. Oh. The superpower of the world over 50.
0?
56.
Oh.
The superpower of the world over 50 years used more than 65% of its veto power to protect one country. You cannot compare both.
Bruh. First of all, that stat I did not know until I watched that video. That is insane. 56 out of 88 vetoes that the United States has used was to protect Israel. Holy shit. What? Bro, what? That, I don't want to hear it. Dog, I don't know. All those America First people, I don't want to hear it now. I do not want to hear it. I had America First bullshit because these people won't even step in and use executive authority to provide for the American people, but they'll do so to protect Israel from accountability. And by the way, from basic accountability. They will risk credibility to help Israel avoid accountability. Oh, but we got some more for you. He does not stop embarrassing himself. He just keeps on going.
Israel, Silicon Valley of the Middle East. What can be done with the countries that are quote unquote shitholes?
Okay, give me a...
Look,
Israel is definitely the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. You know how? The same way that the U.S. funds Silicon Valley to make sure they can have control over the situation. Facebooks of the world, the Twitters of the world, obviously. Tesla even. Yeah, they're the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. The U.S. is funding them or else they wouldn't have these inventions.
Bahrain, UAE, Israel, Silicon Valley of the Middle East. What can be done with the countries that are quote unquote shitholes?
Okay, give me a country like a shithole. Give me an example.
I'm looking at the unemployment rates in all these countries.
Give me one country.
Afghanistan,
Okay.
Syria,
Afghanistan.
Lebanon.
Why Afghanistan became a shithole country?
Because they endorsed the Taliban.
They did.
It was at this point that Samuel Ganji knew that he had fucked.
They did.
Yes.
Isn't that a little bit of a reductive way to tell history? Because at the beginning, there was no Taliban, and then the Soviet Union came in, and then America came in, supported the Taliban, make them bigger than they were, and then at the end of the day, they support. If you remember Rambo 3 was supporting the Taliban, so Taliban was really cool, and even they were even hailed by right-wing Christians as freedom fighters, anti-communists. And then what happened? America, some people like the Richard Wilson Wall wanted him to come in to put some schools. That no. We spend all of this money of tanks on weapons. We don't need to put them schools. What happened? Taliban flourished, all because of America interfered, made it shitty, left everything. Taliban flourished, and then America went in again, spent $2 billion, make it even $2 trillion, made it even worse. So when you tell me like a country is not,
Bro, are you really trying to tell me that this guy Adam had zero idea that the U.S. is the reason for the Taliban? Did he actually believe that the Taliban was so organized, so powerful, so well equipped with weapons because of like natural causes and circumstances? You trying to tell me you entered into a conversation with an Arab who spent the last several months, probably more than that, obviously, but at least the last several months debating dumb Zionist pricks like this motherfucker. You came into this conversation and decided, I'm going to make an argument that the Taliban is in power because the people of Afghanistan started it, and it's their fault that they're in these situations. And you didn't even know that the Taliban was created by the U.S. His Mr. Yousef's patience is just immaculate. I don't know how he's doing it because I'd be laughing.
Surviving. It's not because they're bad people. They don't. You have to come into the root cause. Every single country that you said, I can bring you the root cause of how America and the West has fucked this country to become.
Go to Syria. Go to Lebanon.
This man just said go to Syria. I know that Bosam doesn't actually have any like ability to present a photo, but you want to anybody who's ever seen a picture of Syria before the United States decided to fucking destroy their nation and after would know. Syria is one of the most prosperous nations in the world. Yeah. Syria was one of the most prosperous nations in the world. So we had to bring in some freedom. ISIS is only in Syria because the U.S. put them there. Really, go to Lebanon. Even with Lebanon, the U.S. is responsible for all the drama in Lebanon. Like, does he really? They just be giving anybody podcasts in a fucking bag. They just throw money at whoever. I'm sure if you go back and listen to some of the dumb shit he says, I know this guy's gotta be famous, not for hopefully for nothing to do with politics. Probably just talks about women. Probably just talks shit about women and how men shouldn't be held accountable for anything that they do. It's probably the crux of his podcast. Not positive, but go to Bashar al-Assad.
There.
Yeah.
Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah.
Killing his own people, gassing his own.
Didn't happen. Just didn't happen. That now he's quoting Democrat propaganda, pro-neoliberal propaganda.
People.
Mainstream media propaganda. And I know that this guy at least is one of those cats who loves to complain about the mainstream media, but you know, if it serves my agenda, then I'll definitely quote it.
Well, that's Americans' fault.
Who's he supported? Who was he supported by?
That's the whole problem in the Middle East.
Okay.
You have Sunni, you have Shia, you've got Houthi rebels, you got
Every
That's the whole problem in the Middle East. What the fuck is that? Yeah, you are, even though Bashar al-Assad isn't supported by the US, but he is right. Like, you always gotta look who's supported by who. And the whole problem in the Middle East is that the majority of the countries with problems, significant issues, that have been unable to overcome those issues is support. The opposition is supported by the U.S. The destabilizing force is supported by the U.S.
single country in
it's
the
a
Middle
quagmire
East,
wrapped in a
every
riddle,
single Middle East,
and then surrounded by Islamic terror.
every single Middle East.
It's a quagmire wrapped in a riddle. What the fuck did he just say?
Country in
It's
the
a
Middle
quagmire
East,
wrapped in a
every
riddle,
single Middle East,
and then surrounded by Islamic terrorists.
And then surrounded by Islamic terrorists. I don't even know what it's not a riddle, bro. The U.S. would stay the fuck out of the Middle East, there wouldn't be problems, basically, in the Middle East. I mean, there would be problems like every other region has. Like, every region has problems, but Islamic extremism was literally created in a school. It was the University of Indiana at the Pakistan campus. That is not hyperbole. That is a fact, y'all. That is a fucking fact. Literally, the U.S. taught Islamic extremism. It's a fact. Y'all know my theory? I haven't been able to prove it yet, but I'm on the road to proving it. I have a theory that the Ottoman Empire strikes fear in the hearts of the U.S. because everybody knows, well, my audience should know at least, World War I and World War II is primarily about breaking up the Germanic and Russian empires. 100%. Now, a byproduct of that eventually became, likely because of the oil, because like the world knew that the world was transitioning to oil, and the empires knew that the world, so they began to break up the Ottoman Empire in their own unique ways while nobody was paying attention. But if you really look at what happened with Gaddafi, for example, Gaddafi had the ability to do what? Reunite the Arab nations, right, economically. But he also, because of his unique location, was going to have the powers that effectively made up the Ottoman Empire united, but also have the African world united simultaneously. Do you think that the NATO world would allow that to happen? Do you think that they'd be, hell no. So beyond the oil, beyond the resources, right? Beyond the natural gas, all that good shit. Beyond the proximity to Russia in cases like Afghanistan and in other areas. Beyond the beef with Iran. The reality is they did all that work to break up the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, and the Germanic Empire. Do you really think that they're going to allow stability in the Middle East? No. No. Stability and unity in the Middle East means stability and unity probably in Africa, which, and most certainly those two areas would unite against the West. And there's no winning. What are we going to do? What can we do against that? Nothing. Not economically anyway, so it'll have to be a war. And I think China and Russia are going back the other side. So we would be fucked. That's just my theory, though.
Every single middle
Figure it out.
So Bashar Hussein is not you cannot really put Bashar Hussein as a Islamic terrorist thing, because
No, because he's fighting ISIS, which we're funding ISIS to fight against Bashar al-Assad.
Who's funding ISIS?
You tell me.
Qatar.
He just said we're funding. Did he not just say we're funding ISIS? He just said it. We're funding ISIS to fight against Bashar al-Assad. Oh, so you know the reason why Syria looks the way it does. Interesting. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Cannot really put Bashar Hussein as a Islamic terrorist thing,
because he's fighting ISIS, which we're funding ISIS to fight against Bashar al-Assad.
Who's funding ISIS?
You tell me.
You tell me.
Qatar was actually funded by the United States. All right. So you don't understand. This is how complicated.
I do understand how complicated it is.
People in the Middle East are either supported by Russia or supported by America, and they're fighting each other. So at the end of the day, you have people who have come to
look.
I do understand how complicated it is. No, you don't. No, you don't. You fucking liar. No, you don't. You do not understand, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'll show you one more clip.
Turn it back on Israel. I'm asking you specifically.
I wanted to show you this because it's just base. It's just some dope shit.
No, you want to focus on Gaza and then you want to turn it back on Israel. I'm asking you specifically.
I'm sorry. Let's not talk about Israel if that will make you a little bit nervous.
We could talk about Israel for the next 2 hours.
Other countries in the Arab world, so we can prove that Arabs could be bombed at any time because we're fucking poor.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No,
they're just like poor people killing each other, and we're just like there watching them.
No,
I'm sorry that, dude. I like you, but seriously, your undertone is fucking racist from the beginning until the end. You are looking at those people as lesser people who have made bad choices, and because they are poor, they are okay to be fucking bombed by Israel.
Okay, this is the third time you've used the racist word. I've never said that once about you.
Your undertone is very, very, very offensive.
So when I read, no, you want to focus on.
Bro, that's it. I've said this how many times? Bro, y'all know me. Y'all know I don't really be throwing around the racist shit like that. I can't stand it. I can't stand whenever the word is watered down and used to deflect from accountability. We see it all the time with neoliberals, used to push a certain agenda that is not going to actually help any oppressed race. Like, it's not, I can't stand that shit. Y'all know. But he is right. The racist undertones. It's their fault. Why? Because that's just how brown people are, man. It's just how Arabs are, man. It's just how Desis are, man. That's how they are. They just fight all the time. They just bomb each other. Oh, interesting. So why is it right now that we're seeing Israel go into Gaza and act like fucking animals? Like Vikings. Except for, these Vikings fought soldiers. Israel's fighting kids. Why is it the U.S. is constantly intervening in everyone's business? Once again, killing millions of innocent people. The undertone that Arabs and Africans are like things are the way they are there in those respective nations, in those respective continents or areas of a continent. Like the undertone that, oh man, it's just the way it is because that's how they are. Nah, it's the way it is because there is an immense superpower, a couple of them actually, who are going through extensive lengths to make sure those areas are destabilized. And when shit is destabilized, everyone is desperate and there's no holds barred. Everything is unpredictable. Everything is chaotic. That's how the world works. That's how neighborhoods work. That's how communities work. So imagine a fucking country. That's how it works. Also, just out of curiosity, why does ISIS attack Israel again? I just don't understand. I am on Rumble Jeff, by the way. You don't understand why hasn't ISIS attacked Israel, guys? I'm just kind of curious. They attack everybody else. They are really busy attacking secular Arab nations, but seem to have a problem finding the route to Israel. And I was told that all Islamic extremists want to destroy Israel, wipe them off the face of the planet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're like, what did Israel always say, y'all? I don't know what that was. What is Israel always trying to say? They're always saying Hamas is ISIS. We never see ISIS attack Israel. Hamas, obviously. Why is that? And when you find out the answer to that question, then you understand why the region looks the way it does. But the reason that you don't care about the lives that are lost in that region, and I want to be very clear about this, is because you think that they are lesser. You think that they are, like, you just feel like they're equivalent to animals. That's how they are. How can you be so apathetic? Like, whatever my debate would be over Israel and Palestine, it's like, say, even if I was on the, like, say if I was not even pro-Israel, but just pro-Israel existence. I'm not really that. I'm not gonna lie to you. But say if I was pro-Israel existence, but I'm witnessing what happened in Gaza, I would just have to sit back and let people vent and let them cook. Like, cause like, yeah, really, it don't matter how pro-Israel I can't be pro-Israel existence. And then like, cause now I have to question why I'm pro their existence, but either anti-Palestinian or complicit in the deaths of thousands of Palestinian children. Because then you have to weigh out, why would I care about one group and not the other group? Is it religion? Because if it was religion, that's wrong. If it's ethnicity, that's also wrong. Is it culture? That's also wrong. There is no scenario anybody in any situation can feel like it's the loss of however many, it was 1,400, then it was 1,200, is less than that. However many hundred is somehow worse than the loss of tens of thousands of innocent people. There's no way. That's why when people say, hey man, I have a problem with innocent lives being lost in any situation. And I agree with that. I do. I understand the Palestine's need to defend itself and do whatever it feels it needs to do to defend itself. That I do understand. But I also understand the position. I feel like innocent life should be protected at all costs. Cool. I get it. But don't say that if you don't fucking mean it. Because y'all don't mean it a lot of the times. Guys like Adam don't actually mean that shit. Right? Because how could you? Why are you making an argument about how we go from Israel, like from Gaza, to look at the rest of the Middle East? That's how it always goes. That's just how those people are. That's what they always say. Let's move on real quick to Joy Behar. Oh, can't stand this woman. Like I said, if y'all want me to do the rest of that interview at some point, y'all let me know. Shout out to Case Study QB, by the way.
Not hitting the milestones the way every generation before them did. They're owning homes at a lower rate. This is wild. 45% of people between ages 18 to 29 still live with their parents. They feel left behind by the economy, and they also see everybody trying to not age. So please get a job. No, but they have jobs. No, they have to work more than jobs. There's a million jobs, though, job openings in this country. Get a job. They've also lived.
There's a million job openings in this country. Bro, what? First of all, Joy. Let's put my damn glass before I throw them up against the wall. Joy, question. When's the last time you applied for a job? When is the last time that Joy Behar applied for a job? Because I could let's just say for the sake of the argument that she's right? Let's just say there are millions of job openings. What kind of jobs are we talking about? She's telling you what the Gen Z and the millennials are saying about the economy that they are currently. You really think that motherfuckers are sitting in the crib not applying to jobs? You think that 19, 20, 21-year-old men enjoy the fact that they can't increase their value as productive men in society because of the limitations that have basically been introduced through an administration? You can make an argument, a couple of administrations that has left the economy unstable, inconsistent, and that's domestically and internationally. You got to leave the nest. And when I say leave the nest, I mean you're almost guaranteed to leave the state if you're trying to look for a job. Beyond that, I would make the argument that it makes the situation kind of worse, right? Because when you do leave the state, you're heading to which states? Most likely, you're heading to California, New York, Florida, maybe Seattle, and Washington. Maybe Research Triangle in North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham. Holy shit. Raleigh, Durham. I'm missing one. Chapel Hill. Jesus Christ. It's my alma mater, y'all. I'm messing up. Anyway, you might be heading there, right? Maybe Atlanta, of course. But even when you do go to the other cities, you're only going to one city 9 times out of 10. The economy is shit. Where there is money and there are jobs to create, you're sucking the economy out of other states and other cities and forcing them into a few cities in a few states. And when those economies collapse, which is inevitable and effectively happening at this very moment, what's going to happen next?
Through a pandemic, they've lived through the worst of times. I'm raising 2 Gen Zers, so boo-hoo.
Kevin, I think this is one of those rare.
Man, friends like Joy, man. But hey, man, look, Fox News, they all up on Joy's side. Look.
Occasions when you will agree with Joy Behar, get a job. Is that right?
I have a couple of Gen Zers in my family. I kicked them out a long time ago. The only way is what my mother used to say to me: the dead bird under the nest never learns how to fly. And that means you can't keep them in the house. They've got to go fend for themselves out there. And
when he says he kicked them out a long time ago, what do y'all think he means? I don't even know this motherfucker. I could just say, for the sake of the argument, he's probably a little bit rich. She's probably well off. Okay. When he kicked them out, probably kicked them out into Ivy League school where there's Ivy League connections. Probably used his status to get them into the Ivy League school. And they probably have good jobs because of that. And they'll likely get a good job regardless of where they went to school because of who their dad is. That's the type of people who say shit like that.
there are lots of jobs. But to be fair, Stuart, remember, we raised rates from basically zero to find themselves out there, and there are lots of jobs.
So hold on, y'all. I just wanna. This is the shit that be pissing me off about neoliberals and neocons. This is the shit. This is the shit that pisses me off about the establishment. Okay. Look at like what did the host are? This is one of them few situations where you'll probably agree with Joy Behar. Go get a job. Oh, hold on. So Joe Biden is actually doing great on the economy, Fox News. All of a sudden, y'all agree with Joe Biden. Y'all agree that Joe Biden is actually doing a great job creating jobs. All of a sudden. What? I'm confused. So is the economy shit or is it not shit? And if the economy isn't shit, then why does Fox News keep telling us we have to get Joe Biden out, largely because of the chaos he's created in one way or another with the economy? Hey, please explain it to me. Or is it just like we're going to take any opportunity that we can to own the young folk? Those lazy bastards. Like own, like, bro, one thing you can't call Gen Z is lazy, dog. They damn near invented hustle culture. Between the younger millennials and Gen Z, they invented hustle culture. If anything, they work too fucking much. They're doing too much. They're burning out faster and faster. Back in the day, a full-time job and a part-time job a couple days a week was normal. It's like, whatever. Sometimes because you had nothing to do, you would go get a part-time job. It's like, fuck it, whatever. I ain't doing nothing at home anyway. Now it's like your full-time job, then you better have a part-time job. You better have a part-time job. And when you're struggling, you're doing Uber, Instacart, Uber Eats, Lyft, whatever, as a third job. Not even to make ends meet. Just to make the ends see each other from a distance. Like, oh, we almost there. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. These rich bastards got the audacity to sit here and pretend like, oh, go get a job. Joy, what the fuck? Wait, have you ever had a real job? You sit there and talk shit every morning and without being held accountable. You don't even say shit important. You add no value to society and you get paid millions of dollars for it. What the fuck have you ever done to earn a paycheck? The fuck out of here. And what makes it crazier, y'all, oh, that's a different one. My bad. Hold up. This one. Another liberal program somehow managed to disagree with
the majority of Americans say that they're doing really well.
I think there's some that are struggling in certain sectors.
Yeah, there are.
But this new survey finds a majority of Americans are currently quite happy with their finances. The Axios Vibes survey reports 63% of Americans rate their current financial situation as good. That includes 19% who say it's very good. In addition, Americans' outlook for their financial futures also rosy. 66% think.
So now I'm confused. I don't feel like the neoliberals are all on the same page. I don't feel like that. So hold on. So Joy is saying that even because like her co-hosts were actually saying and articulating very well, the majority of the people around the world, especially the young people, or not around the world, around the country, especially young people, saying the economy, they're saying the economy's shit, because it is. It's just a fact. If, once again, you don't got to guess if the economy's shit, go to the grocery store or try to buy a house or buy a car. It's not a very complicated calculation to figure out whether or not the economy is trash. Okay. But Joy is saying it's the people's fault, right? Because there are millions of jobs out there. Supposedly. They're not talking about what kind of jobs those are, but there are allegedly millions of jobs out there. Fox News is agreeing with the neoliberal, Joy Behar, saying that people just need to get a job. and that the economy actually isn't bad, which is weird because that would also mean that they're supporting what's being purported by the Biden administration. But I'm confused because Fox has generally maintained this idea that the economy is shit because that's what Trump says, and that's what the majority of the Republican candidates have said. Behar is saying that the economy may be shit, but it's their fault. It's everybody else's fault. And now Morning Joe in the Axios poll is actually saying that no, the economy is actually doing great. And people feel the economy doing great. What the fuck is going on? All y'all are getting to the different conclusions, but also simultaneously the same conclusion. I don't understand. Maybe your metrics are fucked up. Whoever you're asking is already well established. Or you're gaslighting like Joy, which we know that's all she's always gaslighting, so that's true. The economy is trash. I know people with great jobs. Like I said earlier, my mom has a great job. My brother has a great job. My sister has 2 or 3 jobs. And every one of them, to some degree, has their own unique struggle that they're dealing with. Because 1 job isn't enough. 2 jobs isn't enough. In some cases, 3 jobs isn't enough. They're giving you 2-3% raises when you do have a decent job, when groceries have gone up by 6, 7, 8, 9%. Gas has gone up. The price, people like, just go get a car. Bro, have y'all seen these? Bro, car prices have gone up while simultaneously somehow they decided they're going to start reducing the amount of years that you have to pay for your car, which is also going to make the payments go up. And then insurance, once again, is higher than ever, bro. People are paying half of their rent for a car. Now, maybe in 2010, 2011, maybe that don't sound so bad, depending on what state you're in. Maybe that don't sound so bad in North Carolina and Georgia or parts of Florida in 2010. Half of my rent for a car back then would have been like $300, $200, because I was only paying $400 or $500, well, $500 or $600 for rent for a 2-bedroom. Oh, Jesus Christ! Well, those were the days. Those were the days. That don't sound that bad. But today, people are paying $400 to $500 a month if they buy a car now, right? And their insurance, no matter, I mean, unless you got liability exclusively. But basically, if your car is decently new, you're paying, hell, my car is 10 years old. $350 a month. Not even driving it. I'm 35 years old. Never been, I was in one accident in North Carolina and I got hit while I was standing still. So I've effectively never been in an accident. And that shit just skyrocketed. People are paying upwards of $1,000. So yeah, when I say half your rent today in 2024 rather, half your rent today is crazy to pay for a car. Y'all don't think? Half of your rent today is crazy to pay for a car. In some cases, people are paying as much for their car. They're paying almost as much for their car as much as they're paying for their mortgage in some cases. So they're not able to sell cars because, like, why the fuck? Why would I buy that? That's crazy. Because you buy a new car, you buy a new car, depending on what state you're in, you're about to pay some taxes. Oof. I know y'all Georgia people be hurting. New Yorkers too. So you're paying your taxes on that. Paying for that registration. Gas is crazy. Okay. Insurance is crazy. Okay. You working just to pay your car at that point. So people are just not buying cars. So cars are not being sold and the cycle continues. All this shit has a dramatic of everything has an effect on everything. The economy is trash. People got jobs, Joy. Ask Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the one who said that the economy. What did he say? What are they saying, bro? Oh man, unemployment rates dropped. That's Joe Biden and his administration saying that. I'm not saying that because I know that's bullshit. But that's what they're saying. People got jobs. Jobs don't pay. They're not paying what they should. And now we're actually getting to the point in the economy. And I'm gonna let y'all go here in a second. But we're actually getting to this point in the economy, y'all, where I actually understand that a lot of jobs, most jobs, can't pay what they need to pay because we're getting to a point of no return. Why? Because their property taxes are skyrocketing. The leases to maintain those buildings are skyrocketing. The interest on the loans that they have to keep the business alive, that's skyrocketing. Their credit card debt is skyrocketing. The cost of the supplies that they need to maintain their business is skyrocketing. The cost for gas to move the supplies is skyrocketing. The cost to buy vehicles to get your supplies from point A to point B is skyrocketing. The cost to grow food is skyrocketing. The cost to buy the food that grew. The cost to buy the food that was grown is skyrocketing. The cost to keep the lights on is skyrocketing. We're at the point where now I can't even fault all the businesses, especially small businesses, but I can't even be that upset at them like I used to be 5-6 years ago, because it is literally, in some cases, impossible to pay what they deserve, what the employees deserve, really, and simultaneously keep your business afloat. Is becoming damn near impossible because they should have. No, that's their fault. They should have started this. Everybody, there should have been a raise that was given, because what do they always tell y'all? What these motherfuckers, these anti-worker ass people always tell y'all? If you raise the wages, inflation is gonna be out of control. Well, motherfucker, inflation is already out of control. Now what? Now what? Where we at with it? Now what? And I always tell you, I say, y'all know inflation's gonna come regardless. And then we always play catch up instead of trying to get out ahead. Inflation would not be out of control because, once again, when the consumer has the power to purchase, the consumer now dictates the economy. Why? Because the consumer can now choose where they want to spend that money. And then everybody has to then make a business decision. How do we separate ourselves? We got to do better quality or better prices, or in some cases, both, than the other company. So you get, as a consumer that has spending power, better prices, better quality, or both. That's what happens. And that creates a price ceiling. I would say that people who live in Texas and people who live in Florida have experienced this, especially people who've lived in Miami. There were too many options. Too many options. Bro, Miami used to be the world's best kept secret before the pandemic, y'all. Oh my God. Y'all know how much I paid for an apartment downtown? In downtown Miami on Calle Ocho, right by Brickell, the finance district. I paid $1,100 a month for that apartment in Miami. 8 minutes away from the beach. 3 minutes away from the city, heart of downtown Miami. When I upgraded my apartment to a different place, same area, but with a washer and dryer, in a 2-bedroom, it was only $1,500 a month. Now, why? Because you can go anywhere in Florida basically and offer what? A beach setting, plenty of land if you want, and infinite shopping options. So what does a land developer have to do to compete with all those other options? You got to be competitive. That's what happens. Same thing. Everybody from Texas. That's why a lot of people move to Texas, right? You got to be competitive. But now in Florida and Texas, they don't have to be that competitive anymore. Not really, not effectively competitive. in a way that is meaningful because everybody's moving to those two states for various reasons. Likely some of it to avoid taxes, some of it to because of the opportunities that they had before, during, and after the pandemic that other states got rid of when the pandemic came. Like, so now those states no longer have to do fair competition, and we don't get the benefits of that. You see how it works? So we should have had fair wages a while ago. We didn't get them. So part of the failures of our economy right now we're seeing is because we're playing catch up. So now whenever wages finally do catch up, if they ever do, we don't know how that's going to go. Well, we're just going to be at net zero. Back to square one. Guys, y'all remember how square one was before the pandemic? It wasn't that great, actually. It wasn't that great. Back to square one was not that great. So it seems like the world's playing catch up. But I don't know if we're going to be able to catch up this time. But sure, Joy, we'll just go get a fucking job. Like, we don't got jobs. That's stuff, bro. I can't stand that shit. Like I said, y'all, I got a mom who working her ass off. I got a grandma who passed recently who was working, even though she shouldn't have been working, she should have been retired. My grandpa worked his ass to the bone until he passed away at 80 or 83, 84 years old. You know, he worked his entire life, had a retirement paycheck from both the military and from his construction job, and still had to work to provide for his family, for my grandma and my little cousins. And my grandma was working. Go get a job? Really? Motherfuckers got jobs. They got a lot of jobs. Everybody out here looking Jamaican and Mexican. 15 jobs apiece. And no social life. Which is probably part of the reason everybody's addicted to social media, which is a whole different conversation. Because that's the only social life you can get. That's the only social life you got time for. How about you get a fucking job, Joy? Go try to work in the real world for 6 months and let me know how that works out for you. If you actually even get a job, I will be surprised. I will be unpleasantly surprised. That's a whole different failure within our economy, if I'm being honest, because you don't qualify to do shit. But people who are perfectly qualified to get great jobs, get great pay, are still being underpaid. So maybe you should figure that shit out. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Of course, follow us on Twitter at Real Niko House. And of course, follow our Hotspot channel as well at Hotspot. You can also follow me on Instagram at Real Niko House, on TikTok at Real Niko House. Subscribe to our Telegram channel so you can get all the news, breaking news and content updates. What am I forgetting? If you want to support us through Bitcoin, you can do that. The address. You can become a Patreon subscriber. You can become a premium subscriber on Rockfin as well to help support the show. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.